I think it's about 70 something now in ICU in UH. Quite bad, quite bad. Everybody I know has somebody who gets it. And then my friends, good friend, husband and wife, 50 plus, only both of them die. Doctors. Just like that. Just like a very short time within each other, they just go off. So it's very serious in Selangor. In Selangor. Very bad. So we try not to go out lah, unless we need to buy stuff. Yeah. Because you don't know, like you say, you don't know, like Singwei says, we don't know how the virus get into the people, you know. You see them wearing masks also, they use the sanitizer also, but then they still get it. So we don't know. Quite frightening.
I think more than half of our clinic co-workers actually got them.
Wow.
Not in the clinic, but outside in their life. And they say they some kind of able to tell probably is this, but most of them cannot tell what happened. So really
Sometimes
hard to.
it's in the public transport, you think? I always think the public transport could be the culprit when they go into the train or into the bus. You know, it's so crowded, and then people touch everywhere. I feel that could be a major source. So we try anyway. We try not to go out now lah. It's frightening when people gets it. When you hear other people get it, it's like a story. But now when you see people getting it and dying of it, then that's why it hits you. It's so close to home.
Okay, all right. Now it's 8:30. Maybe Terence want to kick off.
Thank you, Bante. Q2 and good evening, everyone. Welcome to MSBS Weekly Guided Meditation by Phra Goh. Today is the 18th May 2021. We are very fortunate to have with us Bante Adhibalo, popularly known as Phra Goh. He was born on July 14, 1985, and had his bhikkhu ordination into the Theravada tradition of Thai Dhamma sect in Santi Force Monastery, Johor, Malaysia in 2008. Bante is currently the Vice President of Palelai Buddhist Temple, Singapore. Today's Dhamma sharing is a continuation of last week's topic, multi-tradition, same liberation. Bante will be leading the homage to the Buddha and taking of the 5 precepts for Buddhists. Now let us compose our mind for our palms together and welcome Bante. What do you, Bante?
All right, thank you, Terence. So I shall begin with the opening chant. Homage. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Three refuges. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. 5 precepts. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Kamesu Michachara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Musawada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Sura Meraya Majapamadatana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So good evening, everyone. So tonight will be the last night on this topic, multi-tradition, same liberation. So for the past few sessions, we've been talking about the different schools of Buddhism, the different meditation, the different practices. And today we'll be talking about the gray areas, some of the gray areas regarding the diversity of practices and how to come to terms, right? So the past, previous slide, please, previous. Yeah, okay, this one. So in the previous session, we talked about the different kinds of practices, can be faith-based, concentration-based, or wisdom-based. All can lead to liberation, right? So this is more like individual case-by-case basis. It's not about which particular branch or which particular system is the best or is better. So this is one good example, conversation between Venerable Ananda and the Buddha. So Venerable Ananda is the attendant of the Buddha. So the Buddha asked Venerable Ananda, say, Ananda, every precept and practice, is every one of them fruitful? And Venerable Ananda replied, one's unskillful mental qualities increase, while one's skillful mental qualities decline. That sort of precept and practice is fruitless. Right? So if let's say unwholesome qualities, anger, greed, increase, and then skillful mental qualities such as loving kindness, compassion drops, then this is not the right kind of precept or practice. And the next one is the next second part of the answer. If one's unskillful mental qualities decline, right, like greed, anger decline, while one's skillful mental qualities increase, loving kindness, compassion, wisdom increase, then that sort of practice and precept is fruitful. And this is Venerable Ananda's reply, and the teacher approved. So the Buddha agreed with his statement. So again, a lot of people have to tread this very carefully, because sometimes if you don't take things in context, then there's a case, oh, okay, like that, killing, stealing, no, like no problem, is subjected to to me. I find that, hey, killing is good, stealing is good, good for me, like that, how? So this is requires a certain level of mental sensitivity, certain level of purity of mind, and you're able to look back and adjust. So at this point of time, I suppose Venerable Ananda is already a Sotapanna, stream enterer, right? Already tasted the Dhamma, seen the truth, but still not yet fully enlightened. So he knows the path. So this is like, at least he knows how to gauge for himself and know how to practice. So even towards the last stretch after the Buddha's passing away, without the Buddha's guidance, he just chong and work hard and reach enlightenment right before the first Buddhist council, right? So I'm going to show the second part of this. So the next one, next slide. Okay, so this is like the gray area, or sometimes can be called flexibility. Talk about the different traditions, different schools interpret it differently. So this is more of the Vinaya, ethics, code of conduct. So some people think this is only applicable for monastics, because it's Vinaya. Right? But layperson, the 5 precepts is also part of the Vinaya, part of the ethics. So I'm going to read them. It's a bit confusing, so I'm going to break it up into three parts per point. Okay, so he mentions, this is what the Buddha mentions, the 4 great standards. 4 great standards, because sometimes you may not know what to do or what not to do in particular context. So this is the Buddha gave these 4 great standards. Okay, so bhikkhus means monks. Yeah, so the Buddha addressed the monks, bhikkhus, whatever I have not objected to. That means not being mentioned at all. Yeah, to saying, okay, this is not allowable. That means he never mentioned at all. If it fits in with what is not allowable, if it goes against what is allowable, this is not allowable for you. So if let's say, I give an example. Okay, because now your 5 precepts, so I just use 5 precept example. For example, smoking of cigarettes. This is a very ambiguous topic because we chant the 5th precept, not taking of intoxicating drinks and drugs. Right, so this Sura Meraya, some people say only alcohol, only cigarettes not counted. So in the Thai tradition, they allow cigarettes in the Thai tradition, right? So I give an example. If the context or the situation is not allowable, for example, certain monasteries or certain schools, they don't allow smoking. If let's say you're a visiting monk, you're from the Thai tradition, you go there, then you cannot smoke. You don't insist, I want to smoke, because the rules say must smoke. Or let's say you go to a public area, then there's a signboard up there, no smoking, a cigarette sign with a big cross. And then they put there, you can get fined or jailed if you caught smoking. And is it still permissible to smoke? Is it wise to smoke? Right? Either the religious rule permit you to smoke, but then in the outside world, in public, it's unlawful to smoke. So should one go ahead and light up a cigarette? No, right? Yeah. So common sense. So this is common sense rule. Don't do it. Okay. So applicable for any of the other precepts. But the key word is the first line. Whatever I have not objected to. That means not mentioned. So some people, they mention, they want to talk about white lies, telling white lies, something like that. So by the precept already mentioned, no, musawada, no, not to tell lies. It's already mentioned. Then try not to, try not to get into that situation where you have to tell the white lie, or even if you have to say, you have to say something skillful, depending on the situation, the context, the time, and you may not need to tell the whole truth. You can tell the partial truth, to not instigate trouble to certain parties, something like that. Right. So this is part of the training to grow. We call it wisdom along the journey of life. Gain some experience. Okay. Then the next line is the opposite. The next statement is the opposite. So the next point, whatever I have not objected to. So the same thing, right? This is not allowable. So this is the only change. If it fits with what is allowable, if it goes against what is not allowable, then this is allowable for you. Okay, so again, if let's say it's in a Thai monastery, everyone smokes, then they pass you the cigarette. Then if you are a smoker, then of course you can choose to not smoke. But again, I am a non-smoker. But after entering the Thai monasteries, some people ask me, are you a smoker? Then I say, yes, I'm a second-hand smoker. Second-hand smoker. So I inhale all the smoke people have been smoking. Yeah? So not very good for my health. So this is the second part of the rules. Can you think of any examples applicable in your daily life? I give you all time to think, so later you can come up with questions or some examples or comments. Okay, so the third one. And whatever I have not permitted. So more or less the same thing. That means not being mentioned, saying this is allowable. If it fits in with what is not allowable, then don't do. So it's basically the same as the first point, right? And the last one, if not being mentioned, not permitted, and if it is allowable, then you should do it. So different perspectives, different schools, and sometimes different individuals have different opinions or perspectives. So I remember as a junior monk when I was in Thailand, we were memorizing these Patimokkha, the precepts. So one of these teacher, this Vinaya expert, a Thai monk that sort of training us to memorize the precepts. We were like having a candid discussion, and he was mentioning he heard of this Zen story. I'm not sure whether you heard before about this monk carrying a lady across the river. Heard before, yeah? Yeah. So in the Theravada tradition, they are quite conservative, very strict. No, cannot touch the lady at all. Yeah? So this is a Theravada stance point of view. So according to the Zen story, two monks met this lady with this long blouse or long costume, and there was a bit of flood or this river, and no, not suitable for her to cross. Maybe the clothing, whatever it is, cannot stretch and cannot step across the river. So this older monk offered to carry her across the river. Right? So he carried and put her down. And the young monk and the old monk, senior monk, continued their journey. So after some time, maybe half an hour, 1 hour, or whatever it is, then this young monk start to question the senior monk. How come you can carry the lady across this pool of water or this river, whatever it is? And our monastic rules say cannot touch lady. Yeah, and this senior monk mentioned, I've already put down the lady long ago. You're still carrying that lady in your mind for this entire journey, right? So this is the Zen story. So and it has different levels of understanding. So you talk about the mental clinging, of course, you want to talk about the guy putting down. Then if you want to talk about Vinaya-wise, depending again on the level of the person, if let's say the person is still maybe quite new, not meditated, need the precepts to prevent the lust, the monk cannot touch the lady to prevent the lust, then of course it's good for the person not to touch the lady, to avoid it at all costs. Right? But let's say maybe the Zen case, the senior monk, maybe they don't have any lustful intention, you just carry and put the lady down, and so you already put it down. So no clinging. So in relation to the previous slide, no unwholesome or wholesome state of mind. So you already let go. But the junior monk still complaining, why is he doing this, and get upset over the senior monk. He's creating this unwholesome karma, unwholesome state of mind all the time, right? For the entire journey. So this is one possible take to it. And this Vinaya teacher of ours mentioned, no, cannot lie, cannot do this, cannot do this. So again, if let's say a lot of times it has got to do with intention, your point of view, your intention. If the starting point is good, if let's say the Vinaya point of view or the Vinaya critic wants to correct the person out of good intention, then no unwholesome state of mind. Right, so there are these few factors of right speech. First is your intention, motivation. Is it wholesome or unwholesome? Whether you have this aversion or loving kindness, out of compassion to correct the other party. Right, so this is the first thing. And the second factor, can you yourself do it? You want to correct the other person. Can you yourself observe these precepts first? If you yourself full of fault, then you tell the other person, hey, not credible, not credible. Like, hey, you yourself also do it. Why should I listen to you, right? So this is the second point. Are you yourself able to uphold that particular principle? And the third point of view is the whether is it truthful or not truthful, right? Truthful or not truthful. And the fourth point, whether is it beneficial, right? No point you saying all the mathematical equations and formulas, but not relevant to the practice. No, it can be the truth, but not relevant to the practice. And the fifth point, the right timing, right timing. Right, so there are several factors. So I may miss out some, but these are the general few points. So again, so if a person is out of compassion, or sometimes they say, and sometimes the listener might get offended, even though it is out of goodwill. So in some monasteries, they even set this rule, especially monasteries with lots of visiting monastics. So let's say in my temple, Palelai temple, last time used to have lots of travelers, lots of visitors before COVID, and every visitor has their own regulations in their own monastery, their own teacher, their own preceptor, their own style, own system. So we just leave them be. They do what they want. Only their acharya, only their teacher or their preceptor can correct them. So we don't try to find fault. Everybody have different standard, different rules. Hey, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. Everyone will also have their own standards. Then become multiple standards and very chaotic. So the system here is you do your own thing, unless it's very serious. You get into can get into serious trouble into the monastery, or it's a very serious monastic offense, maybe like killing or whatever it is, very serious offense. Then we will call you, then we will raid you in and have this monastic meeting. If not, you do your own thing, we do our own thing, like that. So it's been like that. And of course, there are other monasteries with stricter house rules. Regardless of which school you're from, as long as you step into this monastery, you must follow this rule. Yeah, so of course, different places have different management, different system. And as long as it works, why not, right? For the harmony of the community there. Okay, so I believe I can come up with another example. Sinwi, I think as mentioned, I'm not sure if Sinwi or Yan, in many series ago, someone is asking about viruses. Do they have life? And on the precept of killing, right? You want to talk about killing. So you want to observe the precept not to kill, then how? Yeah. The Vichanda, Pavana, Tipata, Veramani, right? Not to kill. Right? So these are living beings also. Bacteria, germs, and all those. So don't need to shower, don't need to brush our teeth, don't need to cook our food. Right? So we have to talk about the situation, the context. Right? The intention is not to deliberately kill that tiny sentient being. We do it because of hygiene reasons, to protect ourselves and others. We don't have the aversion to go and kill it. And sometimes we go through the process, we sterilize the food or sterilize the medical equipment, right? It's out of compassion for others. So it has to do with the state of mind. So that's the first and foremost criteria. All right. The only thing that is no is not to kill a human being. Not to kill a human being. So regardless of whatever circumstances or issues, we try not to kill a human being. So even for, let's say for people come to monastics for advice, or should we abort the baby or not? Abort the fetus. So the monks will we have this precept. They cannot even give advice to kill, to abort a baby. So we will tell them no. Or sometimes people talk about near end death, death assisted. Suicide or whatever it is. Those last moments of their life could be very terminal ill or on life support. Right? We will also advise or encourage not to prematurely end the life, or just live through life as it is. We talk about pain management, right? Pain management. So if the person, the patient is not ready and we just end their life support, then they might be reborn in the negative realm. If their mind is not conditioned not to be wholesome, then that is, it will be very unfortunate. All right, so this is a monastic point of view, yeah? So, but of course, if for those people in that particular occupation, sometimes I hear cases where, where there's some complication in the surgery. Let's say if they don't save the baby, maybe the mother will die, or whatever it is, or one of the options. If they don't do anything, both will die, something like this. So they have to make their own judgment. Yeah, so this is again their own kind of occupation, case by case basis. And if let's say they are a soldier or a police, if they don't pull the trigger, maybe more people will die, that kind of stuff. So again, it's up to their professional call. Yeah. Okay. And the next line. Yeah, next slide. Okay, so the last slide is more of like a conclusion. Right, it's more like to emphasize again, this Vajjiya is actually an ascetic from another religion, another school of thought, another system of practice, and he approached the Buddha. Oh yes, India got so many different schools, so many ascetic practices. Now, which is good, which is not good? Now, which should be upheld, which shouldn't be upheld? So the Buddha gives a very objective general advice. If when an observance is observed, unskillful qualities grow and skillful qualities wane, then I tell you that sort of observance is not to be observed. So again, we talk about case by case basis. Maybe for you, not good for you, but for other people, maybe good for them. Then again, it's case by case. Then if it's not good for you, then you don't carry on law. Yeah? But if when an observance is observed, unskillful qualities wane and skillful qualities grow, then I tell you that sort of observance is to be observed. So same thing, if it's good for you, doesn't mean it's good for everybody. You don't have to enforce everybody, hey, you must do this. Right? It's case by case basis. Maybe good for you, but not good for others. So if it's good for you, then congratulations, go ahead. Right, so this is the very short sharing for today. Now it's about 9 o'clock, and we end the session and I open the floor for questions and answers or any comments. Anyone? All clear? No issues? How about the Zoom, the Facebook comments? Any questions there? Okay, so everyone wants a longer meditation.
No question, Bante.
Okay, Sinwi, yeah.
So I think in conclusion, Bante basically means that doesn't matter which school and which sex, north or south, or whatever lineage do we go for. The basic rules is that if we see a person's qualities, or when I practice it, when I see my good qualities actually increasing it, in generally, that itself is somewhat okay to lead to nibbana, and it's okay to practice.
Yeah, there is a lot of times it's case by case basis. Yeah, for example, let's say a person observing these eight precepts, no listening to this music, right? So sometimes I believe there are like Buddhist music, Buddhist music, and also sometimes for a layperson, or even sometimes for monastics, we are invited to attend a function, and they play this music, the Buddhist event. But sometimes the lyrics or whatever it is can be very inspiring, and if you reflect upon it, it can make the mind more wholesome. And why not? Right? Then it's you don't treat it as entertainment; you treat it as Dhamma kind of contemplation. And why not? But for a person who doesn't know how to contemplate, and they listen, oh, nice, oh, I like the melody, oh, so nice, then becomes more craving, right? So different people have different angles to perceive things, right? So it's case by case basis. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I saw a chat. Somebody typed something. During war, they are forced to kill. Then how a Buddhist country protect from themselves from attacks? Yeah, this is a very good question. If let's say the occupation is soldier, and if you are ordered to, if you are defending the country, right? So I myself served in the national service before. So no, we should to protect others in our country. So let's say for guard duty, right? We were told no, we give a warning first before we shoot. We don't straight away attack. So normally in the case of war or conflict, normally the people up the rank, higher rank, they already done all the diplomatic part already, all the diplomacy. So if all else fails, then the aggressor still die there, want to attack, then of course it's the part is the up to the part of the soldier to defend the country. So the soldier has no choice. They have to follow the orders of the officers to shoot now. So if let's say in case of the front line, they have to shoot, then no choice, they have to shoot. But let's say for example, guard duty, we have this protocol. First, you must talk down the intruder. Somebody come across your the certain borders. Somebody do patrolling. Somebody come across the country's border, whatever it is. You first have to negotiate first, or ask them to turn back, whatever. Yeah, a few protocols. Then if they still don't want to turn, they still want to come. Then you have to tell them, give a warning shot, shoot the air. And they still die, they still want to come. Then you shoot them in the leg. Don't kill them, I shoot them in the leg. So these are very already compassionate kind of protocols. Yeah, compassionate kind of protocols. So by you talk about real actual warfare, where all the diplomacy has been done, and people still want to still be an aggressor, and still want to attack, then I think it's up to the soldier to follow instructions. Of course, as a monastic, I don't encourage killing, but if you are in that profession, then you have no choice. You have to follow the orders. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully that answers the question. Any other questions?
Yes, Bante.
Yeah.
Referring to the eighth precept, the last precept, which is to abstain from sleeping on the high and luxurious bed. How high are we talking about? So let's say that if I want to observe the Uposatha precept at home, so does this mean that I better sleep on the floor instead of sleeping on my bed?
Yeah. So if let's say you are young and healthy, then it's all right to sleep on the floor. Of course, you can put a mat, a grass mat or a low mattress, low lying mattress, no problem. But let's say a person is more senior of age and have difficulty walking or sitting or bending, then there's this allowance, a kind of height frame, can have a bed frame, a height of until the knee length. So it's easier for them to sit down. All right. So the whole idea is simplicity. It's not to to torture yourself. Right. So if a person is of age, then if they want to sort of misinterpret the rule and try to be over ascetic, then they get into more problems, the bone crack or sprain themselves or whatever. Then get into more complications. So that's not the point.
Yeah. I remember. I participated in the retreat, and in that retreat, we slept on the in a double decker bed. You know, the double decker bed, and that is a high bed. So does it conform to the 8 precept? The bed you have to climb.
It's subjective to each tradition's interpretation. So the whole idea of that precept is about simplicity, not to be egoistic. If let's say you're in a comfortable high bed alone, then you're still in the mindset that you are wealthy, you're living a comfortable life. That kind of defeats the purpose. But if let's say in a shared room, in a bunk, it's not about having privilege anymore. You're sharing, or you're in a confined space. You have no choice. So this is at least this is the attitude, or rather my perspective towards it. So I was in this Plum Village retreat once. They also stay in double-decker beds. So the monastics in the room, I was in touch with some of the Vietnamese and the Korean monks who went for the retreat, all stay in double-decker bed. One room, 8 persons. So we all share. So no choice, I have to squeeze in, yeah?
Okay, understood. Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah. So again, sometimes got to do with the principle behind the precept. So if let's say you are very staunch and conservative based on your particular lineage, tell you not to sleep on high bed, then if you're not comfortable, then don't sleep long. And you have the option, I don't feel comfortable in sleeping, so you sleep on the lower one. All right. So another example is on the driving of cars. The Mahayana tradition, the monks can drive car. There's an original precept, it's not to ride on horse. Not to ride on a horse. So to them, car is not horse. I'm not oppressing the living being. No cruelty. I drive car, no problem. Right, but the Theravada, they extrapolate and say, do not drive car. But a lot of the Thai monasteries, forest monasteries, I went inside. Inside the monastery, in a big monastery, a lot of them, they drive also. They drive a monster truck, they drive motorbike, drive a crane, a construction vehicle, they also drive. Everything drive. And if they want to do work, so they do drive. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if there's no questions, then we end this theoretical sharing and we have a 5-minute break. You can do your stretching, go to the washroom, and I'll see you all back for the meditation session. Oh yes, and advertise these 1,000 pleasures. So if you haven't signed up, please sign up for Vesak. All right, okay. Okay, it's 5 minutes. We'll wait for everyone to come back. While waiting for the few more people, any suggestions or questions for future topics? I know next week we're going to talk about Vesak.
How about the 4 Maha Viharas? The loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upeka.
Okay, revise of the last year's topic. Sure, Ken, I might give a different suttas, use different suttas on it. A good suggestion. After all, we just advertised the Great Metta seat for the Vesak day, so might as well cover that after the Vesak. Anyone else has any suggestions? Jacqueline is new, yeah? Is your camera working? And Jeff hasn't returned. Okay. All right. You're back. Okay, so we can start. You can find the comfortable sitting position. Make sure your back is upright. And your body relaxed. And then we start off with the first phase of the meditation, a bit of this visualization of the body, impurities of the body. So we think of all the hairs from head to toe and wish them well and happy. Every time you think of a new patch of hair, you need to wish it well and happy. And never leave the mind idle for more than 2 seconds. And all these hairs go through birth, aging, decay, and passing away. We keep thinking of the hairs growing and falling, growing and falling in birth and death cycles many, many times. And then we can ask ourselves, are these hairs truly self? And we tell the hairs not to go through birth and death. And then we are now going to visualize the nails, and we are actually deliberately infusing these wholesome states. So whatever meditation object you do must have the right thought, so that's the wholesome states. And we try to increase the wholesome states as much as possible. So we're going to wish all the nails well and happy. And these wholesome states of loving kindness, and we're trying to reduce the unwholesome state of anger. Anger, violence, or overexertion. Sometimes meditators have the tendency of imposing their will. I want my mind to be peaceful straight away. And they use this violence to force the mind. It's loving kindness, actually to soften the mind. And how do you know it's unwholesome? If it causes stress, tension, and anxiety, then that's dukkha, that's suffering. Definitely that's on the wrong track. If it leads to calm, peace, and happiness, then you're on the right track. And all these nails go through birth, aging, decay, and passing away. So they keep growing, and they go through wear and tear, and they fall off, and keep growing and falling all the time. We think of the birth and death cycle of the nails many, many times. And we can ask ourselves, are these nails truly self? And we tell the nails not to go through birth and death. And next we can visualize our teeth. We wish all the teeth well and happy. And all these teeth go through birth, aging, decay, passing away, change in shape and size, and they get dirty, they discolor, turn yellow, turn brown, decay and turn black, and get these tooth cavities, get loose and shaky, and eventually fall off. And we can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? Can we tell the teeth not to go through birth and death? And the next part of the body, we are going to visualize the skin. And we wish the entire skin well and happy from head to toe. So every time you visualize a new patch of skin, you need to generate this new thought of loving kindness, wishing that skin well and happy. And all the skin go through the cycle of birth, aging, decay, and passing away. The skin keep growing and falling off all the time. So we think of the birth and death cycle of the skin many, many times. can ask ourselves, are the skin truly self? And we tell the skin not to go through this birth and death. And next we are going to radiate loving kindness to the front. So there's no need to deliberately visualize anything. Just use a sense of feel. No need to exert or push your mind. Just a gentle wish, may all beings in front be well and happy. And we come back to ourselves. And then we wish all beings behind well and happy. And we come back to ourselves. Next, we wish may all beings on the left be well and happy. And we come back to ourselves. And we wish all beings on the right be well and happy. And we come back to ourselves. And we wish all beings above well and happy. And we come back to ourselves. And we wish all beings below well and happy. And we come back to ourselves. So this time round, we fill the entire body from head to toe with loving kindness, including all the insides of your body. And so from head to toe, whatever sensation that arises, we wish it well and happy. So there are these 4 general kinds of classifications of sensations. The first being the earth element, any hard and soft sensation would fall into this category. The fire element is the warm and cold. Wind is fast and slow movements, and water, moist or dry sensations. And of course, if there's any other kinds of sensations beyond that, just take note of it and wish it well and happy. No need to purposely create them. Right? Let them arise by itself. No need to cling onto them, and no need to reject or push them away. And then we take note of this emotion or this experience of loving kindness now in restricted form within the confines of the body. And now we are going to radiate this loving kindness to all directions, above, below, and all across simultaneously. We wish all beings in the entire universe well and happy. So likewise, no need to purposely visualize or extend or push the mind, right? Wherever your attention is, it can be within the body or outside the body. Whatever sensation that arises, you just wish it well and happy. And the concept of all beings is mental perception. So whatever formations, whatever dharmas that arise, we wish all beings, all dharmas well and happy. And so new sensation arise, well and happy. New sensation arise, well and happy. So the more right thought one has, the calmer the mind will get. And as the mind gets calmer, and it gets closer to the state of boundlessness, boundless loving kindness. So boundless doesn't mean you have to purposely extend your mind and reach far and wide. No, huh? Any form of exertion that causes tension is actually restricting this boundlessness. So what we are doing is actually clearing the boundaries. And the boundaries is actually the craving. So whatever peaceful experience you have, or pleasant experience you have, you just treat it as a byproduct, a sideshow. The main emphasis is to keep on generating There's loving kindness at every new sensation. I just know the conditions that arrive to this point, but the foundation must be there, yeah? Okay, and now this is, although it's called boundless, there's still another level called unconditional loving kindness. So this boundless loving kindness is still based on using the 5 aggregates. So the unconditional loving kindness requires one to detach from the 5 aggregates. So we need to observe the birth and death of the sensations. And the arising and passing away of all sensations. And we are now switching to the second sublime state, which is compassion. We're going to wish may all beings be free from suffering. So similarly, whatever sensation arise, whatever dharmas that arise, we wish it free from suffering. Keep on being mindful of the arising dharmas, arising sensations, new sensation free from suffering, new sensation free from suffering. And if your mind is getting calmer due to more of the right thoughts, and you're actually getting closer to this boundless compassion. And there's another level which is unconditional compassion. Compassion is very closely related to the Four Noble Truths: the suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, and path leading to end of suffering. Because we are wishing, right, may all beings be free from suffering. So how to be truly free from suffering? And we have to not cling on the five aggregates. So we're doing the same thing. We're going to observe impermanence of the five aggregates, or the sensations. Any sensation arise, we are going to observe its birth and death, or arising and passing away. And next we are switching to the third sublime state, which is appreciative joy. And we are going to rejoice in all the positive accomplishments of all sentient beings. So similarly, whatever sensation or dharmas that arise, we wish all of them, or we rejoice in all of them. As the mind gets calmer and gets closer to this boundless appreciative joy, and to get to the unconditional level or train it to be more unconditional, then we have to practice detachment. And we observe the arising and passing, or the birth and death of all the sensations that you can observe. And any upliftment of the mind, any detachment can be a cause for rejoicing. And we are switching to the fourth sublime state, which is equanimity. And the traditional reflection is on karma. All beings are the owners and heirs to the karma. Whatever good and bad we do, we shall be the recipients. So similarly, any sensation arise, we reflect on karma. The pleasant sensations are the ripening of the good karmas, and the unpleasant sensations are the ripening of bad karmas. So there's no need to imagine like, oh, what I've done in the past to deserve this. No need, no storytelling, no dramas, just here and now experiences. Okay, then we maintain this mindfulness of impermanence, ever-changing sensations, and then we can slowly open our eyes. And so physically, we are sort of not meditating, but mentally, it's always meditation. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Any questions, comments, or any problems? No, okay. All right, then we can conclude the session. All right, so this special dedication again to all beings who are suffering from whatever illness or maybe riots everywhere, whoever are oppressed or facing danger and suffering, we dedicate this merits to them. Akasata cha bhumata devanaga mahitika punyang tang anumoditva chirang rakantu loka sasanang etavata ja amhihi sampadang punya sampadang sabe deva sabe buddha sabe sata anumodantu sampa sampadi siddhya. Transference of parents to departed. Idam minyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idam minyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idam minyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Aspiration. Mina punya kamena mame bala samagamo. Sata samagamo hotu yavani bana patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, Terence, do the announcements.
Thank you, Bhante. Just a gentle reminder, we will be organizing a meditation retreat on the 26th and 27th of June 2021. It's over a weekend. The registration is now open. For more information, please go to the website or the Facebook msbs.my. That's all for now, Bante. See you
Okay,
next
all
week
right.
for the
Okay, see
special
y'all.
visa meditation.
Okay. See you
Thank you,
next
Bante.
Tuesday. Okay, all right. Good night.
Bante. Sadhu, sadhu,
Okay,
sadhu.
sadhu.
Thank you, Bante. Good night,
No
everyone.
problem. Good night.
Sadhu, sadhu.